Right, we're live, that's good. Now, before I get started, there is a link. Actually, I'll paste a link in here, I think. Oh, it's a long link. I've got a short link. I'll just go and grab the short link, and then we'll sort of just pop it in there. If you do want to have named characters, I'll let it go for a little while before I start naming the characters, but we can certainly do it from the sheet that I've created. So I'll just go back into Discord and start from there. And just go and copy. Oops, hang on, where are we? Control C, right. So I'll character names and then the link. Right, so that's it there. I'll just see if I can actually pin this in some way. I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, there we go. Pin message. I'll just do the pin. So basically, if anyone does want to, have a name, then by all means, just go and use that form up there and just fill it in. And then once we get a fair few in there, I'll then start to sort of name the actual characters. So just feel free to do that at any time. And that's all we need to do initially, I think. I'll just get rid of Discord and check that my recording is all sort of working out okay. Right, so what to do? I don't know whether to continue playing this one because it's been a few days now since I've actually been playing this. Like it's been like 3 or 4 days, which is actually a lifetime because I've forgotten what to do. Hi Mike, how are you going? Saying hi Des, thanks for more the Dominion's content. Now you did actually mention I was almost thinking I should actually do an ULM playthrough. So I'm happy if you want me to just flick from this one and do an ULM playthrough. I'm very happy to do that one. So it's sort of because I did see your note, but I didn't actually respond to it because I thought, I wonder where that one is, because ULM is a fun faction to play, and I like it would be cool to do I was thinking, I should just re-record like a one-off series, just using ULM in different sort of styles. So go, yes, okay, look, let's just do that. Let's change everything up. So we'll go and grab. Actually, where are we? Sorry, just go back into this one. I'll just change I'll edit this one through here. Middle Age ULM live stream. There we go. ULM live stream. Ask questions. There we go. So we're going to do this one as a bit of a tutorial then for ULM. We'll go and start again. So we'll quit out of this one. Escape. Quit without saving. Now, create world. So we'll just go and start this one in through here. So I think what I'll do is I'm just going to roll a dice to sort of randomly get any of these starts. No, it really doesn't matter which one you use in terms of what it's going to be like. So I'll just go. I do like the donut worlds, and I also like this no man's land as well. So if we're going to be playing a small game, actually that may be too small. So I'm just thinking of only playing like maybe two-player games. It's something like where it's literally just trying to kill off one other player. Hi Tenru, how are you going? That's the easiest way to learn, is basically just to have like a very small objective and then just go for it. So let's just do that just so we can see if we can get there. I will just record. This will be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hang on, 1, 2, 3. Hang on, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. I've got a 10-sided dice, so I'll just go and actually one thing I can do, I can actually do it a different way. So we've got 8 actually technically. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I've got 8 through there, and 6 down the bottom, including no underground plane. Let's do that. Let's just go for a full random. So we're just going to go to back out to here. Google random number generator, not the random name generator. So the first one is going to be from 1 to 8. So generate, number 1. Actually, I don't want to do number 1 because that is just the same old boring standard map. But that's what we rolled, so we have to do it, I guess. So we'll have to do that one. And then we'll go 1 to 6 in through here. Generate, so this will be 6, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. This is going to be small caves. So we end up with a number of small caves, which will be connected to a standard random map on the front there, which will be okay. This will still be fine. We'll enable rivers, and we'll have an east-west wraparound as well. So we'll just keep the standard with what's actually on there. We'll still go with medium provinces per player. Click on OK, and this will be YouTube live. There we are. And middle age. We could play any of the other ages as well, but I think I'll just play middle age. It's a nice one to play just to get used to actually playing the game. So I'm going to go through and explain a lot of stuff when we do this one. I'm just going to go back to make it just a 2-player game, and I'm going to set who the other player actually is, just so we don't have to so we don't end up with anything too unusual. So we're going to go with Ulm in through here, the Forges of Ulm. So it says Ulm is a human kingdom famous for its steel. They use heavy infantry and heavy knights. Even their crossbowmen use heavy magic. Their smiths, earth mages of limited skill, are able to forge magic items at a reduced cost. The priests of Ulm are weak. So now that doesn't matter so much, but it's important to know what we're up against. So I think we go after Pangaea would be a good one. That could be interesting. Asphodel has actually had some changes done to it. So this one would be sort of like death magic coming through and nature magic. Urmor is a difficult one to contend with, so I think I'll ignore that one off. Although it's one of these things where, because we don't have very good priests, that would be a difficult one for us to contend with. I think that, there's a lot of them we could go with, but I think we might go with either Pangaea or Asphodel. So I think I will actually roll the dice for that one. So I'm just going to roll and see which one I get. And I've got Asphodel. The Carrion Woods. So this is what we're going to end up having. So it says Asphodel was once part of Pangaea, a woodland realm of wild half-men. Now Asphodel is a land of vengeful woods and living carrion. So satyrs, harpies, centaurs and minotaurs work side by side with beasts of animated vines and bones. Parnic apostates practice necromancy and magic of the wild. So George Shannon is saying, hey Daz, long time watcher of your content, I absolutely love it. Thanks for that one. If you have any recommendations on favourite starter nations for beginners, like after Ulm, yeah, look, there's a few of them. Like if we go and have a bit of a look, anything with giants, like if you right click on these, you'll sort of see that we've got giants in through here. Any giants with humans is good. So as long as you've got humans or some other sort of a size, it does make a difference having the two together. So that's a good one. So Phlegra is a reasonably good one to have a look at. It's a bit more tricky than just Ulm. Ulm is sort of very one-dimensional. Pangaea is a good one as well, because you've got all sorts of different creatures that have got different abilities, and so this is a good one to start to learn how to use your bless strategies and to use basic magic. So that one actually works in fairly well. Asphodel now I think has now become a bit easier to play as well, and very, very similar with what it does, but it's got more death magic. So it's got nature, death, and then some glamour, earth and water. But that nature and death is really what this one uses, and so and death magic is actually fairly good and easy to understand in the game. So they're good choices. Coming back down, Urmor is actually an interesting choice. It's actually not difficult to play. It's just very different. It plays completely differently. If you look at Urmor, there's no units. You have to basically summon them in or raise them from the dead. So and it kills the population. It's a very, very different way to play the game, but it's not a difficult way to play. So that's actually another way that you can play them. Celeria this is from Urmor. I wouldn't worry too much about those ones. Man is a good one as well. This is really quite one-dimensional in its approach. Nature and glamour magic is pretty much what this is. This is like the Knights of the Round Table type thing. Eriu as well. This is sort of like the last of the Toatha, which is essentially like Celtic or Irish influence in reckon through here. Again, a simple-ish one to play. Even Agartha is actually not too bad. Like that's that's a bit different. Marignon is a good one. That's actually very, very simple because you've got the Knights. The Knights are very, very strong. What else is there? Some of these you don't want to be playing. I've never played Ind, but people seem to like it. But I don't know if it's a good beginner one. Bandar Log is a good one for beginners as well. Like you've got a whole range of different sorts of units. So that one actually people do enjoy playing as the apes. Yeah, people enjoy a lot of these things. Satis is a good one for new players as well. Oops, hang on, we'll just go back that way. Satis actually has got like an unusual way of playing with the lizard men. And so they've got a whole range of different sorts of lizard men as well. Then you've got, that's a good choice. I always, like even the things like Vanheim, Vanarus, Jotunheim. The Vanheim is elves. And these are pretty good as well. Like particularly, these are a bit like, you know, where you're trying to sort of figure out your bless strategies, because the bless strategy can actually work well with this one, very, very well. So this is a good one to play with because the elves are very, very strong. And so these are good. You've got Jotunheim, which is the giants. Again, you've got giants with some goblins. So you've got small goblins working in with the actual large giants. These are very strong as well. So again, quite good to play. So there's a lot to pick up and play. I'd avoid all of the water nations, but pretty much anything with giants sort of works. Like where is it? Is it Naba? No, it's not that much that one there. They do actually have these. I think are giants. Yeah, size 4. They're not big giants, but they're sort of up there. Uruk. Yeah, no, that's a bit unusual. There was another one. I can't see it there. Anyway, there's a few there. But Ulm is probably the easiest one to just understand what's actually happening when you're trying to pick the game up. So let's just, oops, we don't want to go. Actually, can you play us lots of Ulm? I guess you could. I didn't think you could. Anyway, we'll just go with Pangaea. No, Asphodel is what we had chosen, wasn't it? So we'll go with Asphodel. I will play on normal AI. The AI is much improved than what it was before. But once you get a roll on, you will actually be able to then just sort of fairly consistently beat the AI in the battles, but you just have to get used to what they do. We'll go with, if we choose defensive, it means that we pretty much get to choose when we go to war. But I think I'll still keep it on random. Aggressive means they're going to be declaring war almost as soon as they see us. And random, we've got essentially between standard, which means it's somewhere in the middle there, defensive, where we'll have to declare war, and aggressive. So we'll just go random. We won't know what type of player they actually are. So, the Forges of Ulm. So Ulm is a young kingdom risen from the Ulmic tribes conquered by the fallen empire of Urmor. From the ashes of Urmor emerged a new kingdom, true of its ancient legacy, the enigma of steel. Where Marignong relied on religion to build a kingdom, Ulm relied on steel. The mines of Ulm are famous for their riches, and the smiths of Ulm work the iron into the black steel armour used by the knights and the infantry of Ulm. The people of Ulm are heavily built by human standards. Their infantry use full chain and plate mail armour made of black steel. The feared Black Knights of Ulm are the most heavily armoured troops known to man. The leaders of Ulm have never approved of magic, and only the master smiths are allowed to use it. The smiths are used to working in conditions that are magically unfavourable and are therefore not adversely affected by provinces that have a strong drain dominion. The smiths craft armour and weaponry for lords and kings, but the strength of steel is preferred over magic. Even religion is of secondary importance in Ulm, although an iron cult that worships steel is in a more devout fashion has emerged in recent times. And so these, like it says here, stocky humans. It hasn't mentioned it anywhere in the book or anything like that, but these essentially are the dwarves of the game. They're human size, so like they're not small and they still take up the same space as a human, but they are stocky. It does sort of say stocky humans. So it's the stocky humanoids. They're dwarves. They basically are dwarves. They get production bonus in all castles. So this is actually important. So we have to figure out, there's a few things we'll have to go through with any faction, with the evaluation, and we'll go and do that. Military is heavy infantry, crossbows, knights, and superior armour. We'll talk about how these work, because this can be quite important. Magic is earth, fire, rarely air, and astral. So really it's very simple in terms of the magic that it actually does use. Superior magic item forging, smith's research not affected by the drain scale, and the priests are weak. They do have inquisitors, and so we'll have a look at what these are as well. Now the scales and blesses, we'll talk about what this is in just a minute, but the productivity limit goes up by +1 and the drain limit by +1 as well. So the buildings are standard forts. Master masons can build better forts. So forts produce 25% more resources. So we're looking at production bonuses, resources, productivity. So they're important little things to have a look at. So if this was saying, I would not call them dwarves, just burly men. They're the closest thing to dwarves in the game. Like in terms of traditional, like Lord of the Rings style dwarves, this is the faction. Like it works that way. So if you're thinking of the dwarves, in fact, what are the sites they've got? This is the Keep of Ulm. So this is actually like a big keep. We've got different things we can get from there, and this one is the Forges of Ulm. So it produces five earth gems. Always click on most things and have a bit of a look to see what they actually do. Now, the first thing we want to have a look at is usually I start from this end, the far end of the units, and start to have a look through to see a few different things. If we just go and grab this particular unit, I like to, because this will be our most powerful, or tends to be the most powerful of the units. And so there's a few things. We want to have a quick look at what sort of damage they do. Now, this is not a hell of a lot. So it's not a hell of a lot of damage that they do, but it's enough. It's enough to have a good impact. I like to have a look and see if there's any if they've got any sort of sacred units. This one's not sacred. In fact, the first thing is, what are my sacred units? This one is a sapper. This one here, not sacred. They've got special ability, so always have a bit of a read if they do have an ability. Pikeman, pike again, and then a whole lot of black plate infantry. But we don't actually have any sacreds. So none of our units are sacred, which means that's one thing that's the big thing when you play as Ulm. So Kimagani is saying, seeing as you're playing the most army-focused faction of all human factions, my tips of which pretenders work well. So what's it? NY stand? NY tips on which pretenders work well for humans. Not sure what you mean by NY. This is saying, yeah, if you focus on the craftsman aspect, though they are usually dwarfs, inspired by those Norse mythology in the game. Yes, yeah. So actually say, nice haircut, thank you, I do it myself. It's all me. I've been shaving my own head for, God, how long? Maybe 35 years, I think. It's so easy when you just do it like this. It's really good. It makes it nice and easy. Yeah, so it's good. All right, so I had a function I had to go to yesterday, so I had to be a bit more presentable than my usual scruffy self. Right, so we've got so basically these are all just going to be this basic infantry. All of those are just one type of infantry with different sorts of weapons, and so we can have a look at that one through there. Oh, any. Okay, so sorry, saying seeing as you're playing the most army-focused faction, any tips on which pretenders work well for humans? Yes, yeah, we're going to go through that actually. So we're going to go through why you choose certain things. So we'll do that in just a second, but we'll just go and do a quick evaluation of what to expect, just so we get we're trying to get a feel for what we need to set up in this particular faction. I'll come back to the commanders fairly soon, but if we just go back and click on this one through here, I like to look at the gold to resources. So less gold, more resources, so it's resource heavy. So that the ratio between these is actually an important consideration when you're making an evaluation. Things like that, the natural protection I like to have a look at, and to see if they've got any attack and defense skills beyond 10, which they have. So these are a good unit, like very, very strong protection. If they were fighting against themselves, they would actually protect more than they would actually receive damage. The damage would be minimal, essentially, against themselves to a degree anyway. We can just leave that one through there. The other thing is to have a look at the size. With the black Destria, which is size 5, and we see that there in the bracket underneath there, it means that there's 5 size limits inside each square, and a square is worth 10. The important thing with this is that what it allows us to do is then to actually have two actual knights per square, and that's important. A lot of giants are size 6, which means that you can't fit 2 in a square. You only fit 1 in a square. That's why you like to have humans and other things in around their feet to fill the rest of the gaps, because it makes it easier for the giants to fight if they've got other creatures taking or even causing a bit of damage. So it certainly does help just to have other things at their feet. Urza is saying flails. So Anthony the Eternal saying, what is this game? This is Dominions, Dominion 6, the game that's just come out. So this is but this is a very, very important thing to just get a feel for. So I'm just going to go and click on OK. So we know that we don't have any sacreds. As I go back through, I'm going to be using these black pioneers at length 5. these can repel very, very well. And so they don't have a great attack skill, unfortunately. Their defense skill is terrible. This is their dodge. Can they dodge out of the way? But if they do get hit, they're going to be able to stand a fair bit of punishment at protection 23. So just to quickly sort of summarize, and again, look at this. It's basically a 1 to 4 gold to resources aspect of it. So a lot more resources, a lot less gold. And as we come back through so the way it works is that the attack skill is your 2-hit roll. The defense skill is your dodge roll. So you've got attack and defense. Back on the other side, you've got pikes, which is your damage roll. And this protection is your defense roll, as in you've essentially your armor roll. And so this has to beat this. And essentially, when you're going up against an enemy, your attack has to beat their defense. And so we'll be hit a lot, but not much damage will get through. So we just look at those sorts of things. Now, there's a whole range of them. This one here is slightly different with lower protection. It's a bit cheaper, so we can get more of these a bit more cheaply. Same sort of stats in through this other side, a bit more defense than what was there before, but anything under 10 is pretty bad. So, so you can expect that you're going to be hit a fair bit. And then as we come back through these as well, we're going to have like an infantry version and then a black plate version. So infantry, black plate, infantry, black plate. So you can see that some of these have got shields, and if we have a look at these, let's have a look at the black plates version. So again, 1 to 4, resources are 4, gold is 1. So gold is less important than resources. Nice to have, but it's not something we have to really focus on. In this case, we're always going to get the big high protection when we actually use the black plate infantry. Now, one thing that they actually have, which they excel at, is the tower shields. And so this has actually got a parry version of 7. So these are monstrously large shields that they use to protect themselves. I don't know if there's anything better than this, but this here has a massive bearing on what happens in the game. And so these can help themselves an awful lot. These are great against cavalry, and these are great against infantry. So like with the big shields, and also very, very good against missiles coming back in. And so this one as well, we're going to have parry 7 back in through there. If I go and I can't really have a look at the others. Normally they're parry 4. I'll explain that when we get into the game, but the bigger the number there, the better, and 7 is a lot. That's a hell of a lot. Now the black plate infantry, and the way, actually I will try to explain it now, just in very, very basic terms. If an attack, like the Morning Star, this one's using a Morning Star, it does have its tower shield. So if it was fighting itself, it would have a roll, like a damage roll there of 17, plus a random number, against the protection roll here, plus a random number. Now, if the protection roll is like, let's just say that it happens to roll a total of 18, and this one happens to roll a total of 23. So we're essentially 5 away. We've got a parry of 7. So even though it's sorry, if we go, actually, which way does it work? Yeah, so I think even if it, even if it gets through there, I'm just trying to think of how that one does work. I'll have to look at it in game actually to see. I can't remember which way it does work. But there's the parry. If it hits there's a roll. The more of these numbers here in that particular roll, the more likely it is to actually hit the shield essentially. So actually, no, that's different again. I think it's actually the rolls between the attack and defense. But even this one, the defense is actually pretty good at 9. That's actually not bad at all. Quite often the average here is 10 and 9, but you do get some units that are much, much stronger. So in basic terms, these are not really a problem. What about the war dogs? Again, these are pretty even in terms of gold and resources, but these have got actually even their protection. They've got male barding on them. So these are male protected war dogs. They're undisciplined and they're an animal. They're only size 2, and they've got 8 hit points. So not really all that valuable to us, but they can sort of they can be used effectively if you find a usage for them. Now where are we up to? Latch is saying immobile pretenders with maximum scales and paths set up for a global spell you want to cast are a safe, genetically good pretender for humans focused on non-sacreds. Yeah, you sort like I'll go through in detail what they all are. So, hi, Sketic, how you going? This is saying, yeah, that was the risky part about having plus 6 size units, but there are some benefits for being plus 6 too. But if one gets a large size bless, not that you should with middle arm, no. You have to keep that in mind, yes. And so, of course, I would not say that you should or should not do, but blesses in general do not help. No, they're completely a waste of time, almost without exception. I mean, there are exceptions, of course, but it's not. If you're playing against someone playing Ulm and they're focusing on bless strategies, you're going to win, pretty much. Ulm is much more about the scales than the blesses, and I'll show you why when we get in there. And so Skion of Uzra was saying, wasn't it part of the attack defense roll? Yeah, I think you're right. And if you rolled above the defense but below the defense plus parry value, it hits the shield. That's right. And then the value of the shield is then added. So the 19 gets added to the protection value. So instead of protecting at 23, you're protecting at, what's that going to be? That's going to be like 42. So you end up with a monstrously high protection roll before you even roll the random numbers. And so it makes it very, very difficult once you get a shield hit to do any real damage at all. And with parry 7, this is a massive number to then be applied on top of the attack and defense. It works incredibly well. So yeah, War Dogs are chaff, but very well armored chaff. It is, and so there will be instances where we want to have like a collection of different sorts of attack. And so this is one of the things that can be fun with playing with Ulm, because you've got different approaches as you go in. So that's one aspect that we can actually have a look at. The other thing is we saw there we've got a drain limit of +1, and it does mention that the Smith's research is not affected by the drain scale. Now if we have a look, this is the Master Smith in here. This is our main magic user. We only got one really, and so this one here has got, like, it does 1 fire, 2 earth in through this other side. It does get one other, 20% chance of getting one other, so there's a possibility of getting something in through there. It does basic research, which is fine. It's got this though, unhindered researcher, and what this means is a researcher with this ability will not have his magic research hindered by a drain scale. I'll explain what that is when we get in there, but just remember that. This one also brings in 10 resources. Again, we sort of saw there that we needed like almost 4 times many resources as gold when we're actually building things, and it's also got a forge bonus, which means it uses up less gems when it does things. So now, Sion of Uzra is saying, only bless I ever really consider on Ulm was something like +4 precision and +2 reinvigoration, and to craft staffs of elemental mastery, but only waffle around in single player when anything really goes. Yes, yeah. So we'll go, if we have a look at at what we have, if we go back and start to see, okay, this one is sacred, so we can bless this one up. This is a priest smith, so this one could be blessed, but then we like essentially it's a fairly expensive unit to be blessing, so I wouldn't worry about it. Then we've got this one here, which is also sacred. This is an inquisitor, again not really worth blessing. This one here is not sacred. This one is it's all about halting heretics and castle defense bonuses and stuff like this one. This one does have a magical weapon, the Black Halberd, and so it actually it's a 2-handed weapon. So this one doesn't have the shield. So its protection is still 23, but it doesn't have any sort of parry. So eventually you could actually create something quite powerful out of a Lord Guardian if you wanted to. And so we'll have a look at that as we get into the actual game itself. You've got a Master Mason. These are very, very useful. They take your cities up one more level. Like, so the Mason is able to lead the construction of more advanced forts than would otherwise be possible for the nation. A Mason will be able to upgrade a fortress one step further than is normally possible. That's actually a very, very valuable unit. It's fairly cheap, only 1 recruitment point. Again, we don't really worry about the gold resources in through here. Usually it's the gold. The gold relates to the training of the unit, and the resources of the armour of the unit. So Master Mason, we've looked at the Master Smith with their little bits and pieces. The Black Acolyte is also sacred, but it's just a weak priest. Don't really need it. The Black Lord is just is essentially just a Lord version of the other things, a bit more powerful than what we saw there before. And so on and so forth through here as well. These are just commanders. Now, when you're looking at commanders, you tend to actually have your scouts at the front. So we've got a spy in through here. Always check and see if it's a spy or an assassin. Sometimes you'll have assassins, and they're pretty cool to play with, but we don't have an assassin. The commander of Ulm, now, if it's got 100 leadership or more, that's viable. When it says 3 squads, anything less than that, they're not really viable as commanders. So all of these will be 100. These have just got the different sorts of loadouts into the side. So they're all 100. Then we've got this one here, which is also just 100. At the back through here, the Lord Guardian is also 100, so just up to 3 squads. So we don't have any really good commanders. We've got good commanders across the board. We don't have any weak commanders. We just don't have any great commanders. So so where are we up to? Oh, okay. So Mike's saying, love the art in your Google Doc name. So yeah, that was actually done way back. Actually, I did that for one of the old. For one of the old playthroughs. It might have even been Dominions 4, actually, to be honest, that one. Okay, so Chicken is saying, Ulmer an easy nation, a useful dormant titan or Fusco with minimum bless. There's also different ways we can play as Ulm. It's one of these factions where you can go crazy at the start, or you can actually just sort of turtle up a bit. I think it's better to turtle up if you're trying to learn the game, but you can play super aggressively if you're wanting to. So it's up to you. In fact, if you do play super aggressively, you'll learn a lot very quickly. And I don't know if you want me to do that. I've got no real way of polling that. We'll go back in now. This is actually where we have to set up our God of Ulm. Now, one thing that people don't know, or a lot of people don't know, is that you can just press Shift ? And get like all of the different keyboard shortcuts. And this is a really handy thing on nearly every single screen. It's particular to the screen you're looking at. And so there's a good one here, create a random pretender. You can actually just see what the game would sort of throw at you if I just press escape. So you've got R, and I can just keep on pressing them and see what we end up getting. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this, but you can just have a look to see, okay, yeah, that's, just to see what actually gets generated. It's a very fun way to just sort of see what does come through. Anyway, we're just going to go and get rid of all of these things. We're going to bring all this stuff down. I'll just get it back down to the levels, but you can actually just sort of see what the game is doing for you. So I'll just bring all the Dominion down, and we'll just start from scratch, and I'll just ditch all of this stuff as well. If I just go back and grab another one, if I just go back and grab any of these people as an example, yep, that's fine. And so that's now reset all of this stuff. So let's talk about the pretenders and how we then set it all up. So this area through here, the bless effects are not what's important to us. So we don't have to care about this one. This is why Ulm is. This is the reason that Ulm is a good player, a good faction to just learn the basics of the game, because this just doesn't matter. Now you'll probably end up with something in here, but it's not going to be something where you focus on it. If you were going to focus on it eventually, like you can see that we've hardly got anything with that one. If I go and press B, these are all the different bless effects, and if you just hover over them, you'll sort of see different types of descriptions down the bottom through there. Now, some of them, if you do actually have sacred units, some of them are very cool. Like it was mentioned before, that precision was a good, simple one to get. Blessed units have their precision increased by +1 precision. This is good for those priest-smiths because it will then allow their spell casting to be much more accurate. And that's actually can be very important. So if you're going to err on the side of it, precision is a good one to get. It's only one bless point and one air point to actually go and grab that one. If you guys actually have something specific you want to ask me, because it's now I'm noticing that the actual the chat is getting away from me. just type @DazTactic in your message, and then I'll see it'll come up in red, and that way I can sort of spot it. Anyway, we've got so you've got all these different things, but some of these again we don't have sacred standard units, so it's not. We can bring some in sort of, but we don't really get them. So so it's only you're really only blessing those priest-smiths. That's all you're doing. So there's very limited. None of your standard units get any benefit at all from any of this stuff. It's only those priest-smiths. So all of these things in here, all of these extra things that can come in that other factions do make use of, get applied to anything with sacred on it. So anything, for example, like this priest-smith with sacred, that gets applied. If this guy's fighting, that gets applied to the black priest. It gets applied to the black acolyte. But these are so weak. They're so weak. This one doesn't get it. Like the master smith, this is our main mage, you know, look, this is the main one we're going to be using, like this one over through here. It's not too bad, actually. 245. This one, yeah, it's not too bad. So yeah, we'll probably end up with a lot of these. These will be our battle mages, but we're only buffing them up. That's all we'd be doing, and we can only really get one of them per turn. So we don't have any other option. Like, that's all we're doing is just buffing that one there. I don't even think we'd be bothered with this one. Maybe it's a bit cheaper, but that's it. It's not really worth it. So anyway, that's why we don't need to focus in here, because so few of our troops are going to be making use of this one. Now, we will end up with some points in there. Now, the other thing that we saw when we have a look back at the description is it did sort of say that the scales and blesses, productivity limit +1 and the drain limit +1. So what does that mean? It means that when we have a look at this one through here, this is our productivity / sloth. If I right click on it, we end up going backwards into sloth. And if we go forward, I can go up to 3. For all the other things in through here, I can only bring them up to 2. Like if I go to heat, I can bring it up to 2 heat. I can go right click and take it down into 2 cold. But when we've got a +1, it means I can take the productivity up to +3. And as we do it, one thing you'll notice down the bottom here is what the effect is. So take it up 1 click, we get 15% more resources. Another click, 30% more resources, a bit more income. Third click, 45% more resources. This is a no-brainer for ULM. You want to be clicking it onto that one through there. This is your magic one. Now look what happens to the points. When I go positive magic, the points come off. When I go to negative magic, the points go back on again. So if I go to negative 500, negative again, and 540. Now the only real negative here is we end up with -3 research points. But that gives us -3 there, gives us heaps of points to spend up the top through here. And so going for +3 there, -3 there, in accordance with what it's saying here, productivity and drain, is really the key to playing as ULM. That's really where you start, because it gives you more resources, so you'll be able to build more of your actual infantry. Again, if we have a look, resources versus gold. So we need lots of resources. That's a given. And then with the drain, we've got this one here is a researcher with disability does not have his magic research hindered by a drain scale in any way. So he doesn't need the bonuses. In fact, you know, he's happily just going to work away inside that area with no real issue. Same with this one here. This one will still research because it's also an unhindered researcher. So the drain scale is a no-brainer. Like, that's a no-brainer, that's no-brainer. So that's the first thing you're going to set up, no matter what you're doing when you're playing as ULM. You're not going to do anything different than those two things there. Okay, Grim's saying, Daz, don't you have summoned sacreds like TNG? Yes, we do, but they're not really, again, the core of what we're... And particularly as a new player, you're not going to worry about them. So let's have a look at that now, actually. If we press S, we can go to the spells. And so when you're going to be bringing units in, that comes through in conjuration. You're conjuring up a unit. So each spell school has got like a different sort of focus. So conjuration typically conjures up units to bring in, and could be in battle, could be outside of, like, could be rituals, where you basically bring them into the actual map itself. Alteration is where you're altering the state of soldiers around you. Like, it can be to weaken the enemy, it can be to buff your own troops, it can be to buff yourself. Evocation is you're essentially evoking some sort of spell, or some sort of, usually a damage spell, against the enemy. So this is like your fireball spells and things like that. Construction is where we get the items from. So this is actually a school of magic, but it's still what you have to research to be able to forge the items. Enchantment is where you essentially sort of are, again, it's a bit more like alteration, where you're enchanting or changing the status of a group of units. Thaumaturgy is a little bit more esoteric, but this actually will sort of often to do with the state of the world around you, state of your provinces. Blood magic is demon magic, so this is actually to bring in demons. This is more difficult, so I'd advise you avoid specialising in that until you start getting used to the game, and then you can start to dabble in that one. And divine is your priests, so your priests actually make use of the divine spells. There's not very many in divine. If I go and click on it, that's all we have in divine, essentially. And so if you're using a blessed strategy, divine blessing is very, very important, but for us it won't be. So anyway, that's where we are. So conjuration, if I go and click on conjuration, now we saw there that we actually have, like one thing we can actually have a look through is just have a scroll through and see if there's anything with a blue highlight. So we've got Sloth of Bears in through here, which is showing, if I right click on that one, the caster summons a Sloth of Great Bears and binds them to service. This is one that we can bring in. Now I don't know if these are, actually one thing we should do, I should actually point out, guys, we do actually have a like it came through yesterday, I think. This is the DOM 6 mod inspector. There we go, DOM 6 mod inspector. This is really, really cool. You get used to using this when you're playing. Like, this is such a good resource. And so we're going to go through, the nation we're going to be looking at is going to be ULM. So Middle Era. Oh, hang on, sorry, let's do it this way. Middle Era ULM. There we are, Forges of ULM. So we're just going to set it so that it's actually got that one. We're going to go to units. We'll go all units for this one through here. And so we've got all these different, we've got the Sloth of Bears, should be in here somewhere. So these are all the different things we could ultimately get. I think it'll show it in here. I can always just do a bit of a search for it. So we'll just do Sloth or Bears. Great Bear. So this is actually a unit summon. And so, and there's 17 different nations make use of this particular spell, including ULM. So this one here is it sacred? No, it's not. So this one does not fulfill that sacred aspect, so we don't have to worry about that one. Let's just go back to the game. Just have a look and see if there's any more blue. Now we're getting to far levels in terms of the actual summoning in of different things. And there we go, we've got to contact the Iron Angel. And so this one here, if we have a look and see what this one says, the caster contacts an Iron Angel to teach the weak to be strong. The angel is a divine being possessing the might of skill and craftsmanship. It teaches men not to trust in sorcery or religion. Only faith in yourself and the weapon you yield will grant you true strength. The Iron Angel is not sacred and will readily hunt down and slay fanatical adherents of other faiths. So this is actually an anti-sacred unit. And so if we have a look at, if we wanted to, again, just go back to the mod inspector and just type in Iron, and there's the Iron Angel. Middle Age ULM is the only place that can actually summon this one in. And so the Iron Angel, that's it there. Yeah, it's got black steel, full armor, plates, it's got helmets, and it's got like a sort of sharpness. It does all sorts of things in through here, but again, there's no sacred aspect to it in through this other side. So I'll just get rid of that one, get rid of that one. So we're not seeing, like in terms of the blue ones, we're not seeing too much. So that's all we have. So there's nothing much really there, but there are some others that do come in as sacred units, and I can't think of what they actually are. Does a mod inspector actually show that? We just go and ditch that one. Advanced, can we do sacreds? No. Yeah, I'm not sure there. Be cool if it did actually have sacreds. It's got all units, just units, commanders, summoned. I mean, it's not really sort of showing that through there at all. If we just go to one of the other ones, like for example, if you have a look at Middle Age Asphodel, I don't think it shows you whether they're coming in. If we just go back into all units again, I forget which ones of theirs are sacred. Oh, here we go. You can see sacred in through here. So this is actually the sacreds that do come through. So if we click on sacred and then click on it again, these are all the potential sacreds that can come in for Asphodel. All of these, but like potentially, like with different magic and stuff like this. So there's an awful lot. If we go and instead of all units, just go to recruitable units, our list will be much smaller. But there's still a lot. There's still a lot that do come in. So there's actually that's not even just national only. That way we just get down to the ones we can actually get from our nation. So if we go back to Middle Age ULM and do the same thing in through there, So this is the sacreds we only have is the priest smith, the black acolyte, and the black priest. That's recruitables. What about summoned? Yeah, so the only one is we can actually. In fact, it's just showing the black priest there again, but I don't know why that would be a summoned unit. That doesn't seem to make sense. So we really we just don't have it. We just don't have access to it. If we get rid of national only. So we do have a few different things like Mound Fiends, for example, are something we could bring in, but everyone can get this one. These are all just standard summons. So these are other things we can bring in. So yes, technically we can summon them in, but we just don't bother. We just don't need it. So let's not worry about it. So that's why we don't focus on it. So that's something we just don't need to really worry about. Now, you can start to figure out what do I really want with my faction. You know, what holes have I got with what we have? And for example, if we go back into here again, we've actually got ourselves all these different guys through here. We do actually have crossbowmen and we have sappers. So these are our ranged units. They don't have great precision, so their precision is fairly low. These only get to fire with an arbalist, which this one attacks 1 every 3 rounds. So it doesn't attack very often. So it's going to have to stand in the fight for an awfully long time. That's a long time in combat, to be honest. It does do a lot of damage. It's got armor piercing, which is great because it smashes through enemy armor. But it's very nuanced. And if you look at the sapper has got a crossbow, which is 1 every 2 rounds. So this is actually a better unit for us to use because at least it fires faster. We've got 12 ammunition. Again, it's got armor piercing. And so that is a good weapon against other armored units. We don't just have any basic arrows. And so archery is a bit of a weakness for us because we've got specialized anti-armor archers, but we don't actually have ranged units that are just ranged units that can just sort of rain down on like asphodel, for example, will be susceptible to just normal arrows. They don't have very much protection, or a lot of them don't. So with that in mind, that's something we may, we may be looking for something like that. Not that you can actually get that one easily through the summons, but anyway, just be aware of the weaknesses that you actually have as well. So this is saying the inspector might have some bugs right now. Actually, this is saying use the keyword holy. Actually, we had the sacred column. I didn't realise I had the sacred column in there, but it's cool. Tenor is saying, is there any limit to how many monsters you can summon per turn? No, the limit is how many gems you have. So if we go back into S and Conjuration, usually when you're summoning anything that's got this little this pentagram symbol is actually what's called a ritual, and this one is cast on the world map. And so these actually stay around on the world map, and you can take them in with your armies. Anything that's actually done where it doesn't have that is a combat spell. And so these are summoned into the combat and then fall apart at the end of combat. They don't come out of the combat. And so when you have a look at this one, if we summon ogres in through here, for example, it's going to be 7 earth gems to bring in a group of ogres. Yes, and similar. So nearly everything is going to have a gem cost for these sorts of spells. And so as long as you've got enough gems, you're going to be okay. But so that's something just to consider as well. Now, we're mainly just going to be using earth magic with what we're going to be doing. Just we can do things differently, but we don't have to. If we press E, we only see the earth magic spells. So this makes it easy for us to see. We do have some fire as well. I can press F and see if there's anything through here that I really want. What's Phoenix Power? This one here enables the mage to cast more powerful fire spells. Yeah, we don't need to worry about that one so much. But earth is really where we're going to be. So things, for example, like cave drakes, we're going to see these. Summons a cave drake and binds it to a surface. A cave drake is a huge beast with incredibly thick scales. We've got, we saw there before the ogres. Trolls are great. So these are really cool. Contacts a few trolls and persuades them to serve in exchange for the chance to eat a child or two. Trolls are robust humanoid creatures with stone-like skin. Skulls are known to regenerate wounds very quickly. So this is a really good one for us. Just we get some big units coming in amongst our other forces as well. Then we've got the Contact the Hill Giant back in through here as well. So this ritual summons a giant to serve him force him to serve. Apart from being large and strong, giants are also very dumb and cruel. Encountering a giant in the wild should be avoided at all cost. So, and then we've got things like the Troll King's Court. This is a good one to aim for. It's expensive. This one brings in a, this is really quite cool with what you end up getting. You get 10 trolls. So you end up with getting, so the number of effects is 10, summons troll, extra effect 5 war trolls. So you get 5 war trolls in through here, extra effect 2 troll moose knights, and they come in as well. So this is sort of like the caster contacts a troll king and his retinue of trolls. The troll king is a powerful earth mage and armed to the teeth. The troll king is in no way less powerful than his kin. And so this is really, really cool. So getting that one would be ideal. A lot of earth gems, but that's okay. That's a cool one. And so we have to get to level 6 in conjuration to be able to bring this guy in, but that would be fun to bring in. That could be something we just, so give yourself little objectives, like that would be something that would be a fun one to do. Now, if we go back out, sorry, I'll just go back this way again, press escape. Alteration, I'm just going to keep earth on, so we'll just have a look at the earth through this other side. Just think if there's anything we really want to be getting down the bottom through here. Again, usually with the ritual spells, and I'm just going to keep on earth at this stage. Evocation, things like the Iron Blizzard. Now these are, and the Iron Darts. These are things that our priest smiths can cast. So, and these are how they perform in battle. So evocation to get to level 3, then level 6. This one brings in iron darts. The Black Priest throws darts of cold iron against his enemies. The iron in the anti-magic theurgy of the darts will severely hurt magical beings. And so this is an anti-magic spell. Very, very cool. It's I think it's got very minimal fatigue. Yeah, fatigue is hardly anything. So these guys can just sit there and cast, turn after turn after turn, sort of casting these different things at range 40. The Iron Blizzard is only range 30, so throws a swarm of cold iron darts against his enemies. The iron and the anti-magic theurgy of the units will severely damage hurt magical beings again. So this is very, very cool to start to aim for this one as well at level 6 and at level 3. So this is a good one once you start to get your battle mage system set up. So yes, you don't really use much magic, but the one that you do is very, very simple, because that's the one you're aiming for. Because it's blue, it means it's made especially for your faction. I'll go back to enchantment. We don't really need to worry about that one. Actually, do we? Riches from beneath. This is 70, and this one's going to give province income plus 4%, resource value times dominion max 5, income from mines plus 20%. So this one here, this transform mining from something harsh and dangerous to a really uplifting experience. The miners can carve out gold and iron with their knives. So this is actually one where our resources would go through the ceiling. So that's actually fairly cool. So there's things like that. Just have a bit of a look through. There's not much in through there. Tempering the will. Force of will have the strength of mind enhanced by magic. Soldiers and beings with high magic resistance are rarely affected by this spell. Anyway, that's all fine. So we'll just that's the spell casting. You don't have to worry about it much with ULM. So spells you don't have to worry about much. Bless you don't have to worry about much. So really, it just comes down to who we're going to choose. What physical form are we going to then go with? So now, when we come in, these are all the different pretender gods that we can choose from. And what I'd strongly suggest, again, if you just do a question mark, you'll see there's only 2 commands. There's tab and there's escape to exit the screen. But the tab, show or hide magic and scales. This is really, really cool. So if we go back in and then just press tab, we then get this little commands showing up through here. And so what this then means is we've then got, it shows you what magic paths they've got. This one's got, say, 3 nature. But it also pushes growth scale up one level. Now, if we've got something, for example, like this one that pushes up the magic scale, it means that our drain 3 will be pushed back to drain 2. It'll push it back up again. If we go to one that's already got extra drain, actually, where's the one that would work that way? This one is a production bonus in through this other side. And so he's got production bonus, but we don't get the extra. It's whatever the maximum is out of bringing a god in or bringing a or your actual faction. So we don't get any real benefit from this one, although it is sort of synergistic. So the way it works is these are inanimates at the top. These are your safest bet if you're wanting to learn how to play a long game. So they're quite cool because you're not tempted to move them around. And so you can sort of see that most of these would be fine for us to use. Getting the extra growth means that we end up with a more healthy kingdom. So that can be useful to get. This one starts on Dominions 4. These ones start on Dominions 3. These are your Titans. These are very, very strong. They're going to have like a fair few hit points. They're going to be able to walk around and do things, but you do run the risk of losing them. So if they get caught in battle, you can lose these units. So just be careful of those. Again, just look for the synergies ultimately with what you may or may not want to have. Like this one here, for example, has got fire and some nature. Nature is a good one to get hold of. So there's some good ones actually in there. So the tree doesn't give you growth 1. It lets you increase growth. Yeah, it doesn't promote it, but it pushes this whole scale up. So if I grab Immensal, for example, it doesn't give me extra ones there, but I can then go and promote my growth up to 3. So I can get my income up. It will affect my supplies, my growth, things like that, if we wanted it. So we can actually go that way if we want to. And again, because I've got so many points, actually, if I just go back to Awake, so I can go, that there is actually not a bad little build, and I've still got heaps of points left over. Plus I then end up getting nature magic as well. So we don't have to worry about the magic, and we don't have to worry about the blesses, which means we just focus on getting the best out of this, which is actually pretty cool. We can just get all the positives and none of the negatives, which again, for a new player, makes it an easy one to then have a bit of a look at. So that is a good one, because the nature magic is actually a good one to have, even though we don't actually have any of it ourselves. It is a handy one to get hold of. That one there also goes to growth, and this one's got a little bit of earth and more nature. The trouble with these is you're tempted to start using them and using them to actually push things around, essentially. So this one here, for example, has got a bit of glamour, 2 nature, good start, does push the growth scale up as well. So things like the growth scale going up would be a good one for us. Getting order to even go up would be another good one. So this one here with a bit of water, air, and fire, that one wouldn't be bad at all to actually grab this particular unit. Again, having a look to see what's actually going on in there. Power of the turning year, I don't even know what this is. This is more powerful during the height of each season, and we'll get extra strength attack. Okay, that's a bit nuanced. But these are your Titans, so these are sort of like your demigods. The next one down is if you're wanting to do like a rush build where you just go around and do as much destruction as you possibly can, these are your great beasts. These are very, very strong, but they're not very good with magic, but they do actually still have the different sorts of things that do come in. Now, don't grab a sloth build if you're playing as Ulm. So all these dragons here are not worth getting. Death doesn't matter much, because these will actually drain. Like if I grab one of these dragons, I can't go back up to 3 there. So I lose 15% of my resources, or just automatically by bringing one of these dragons in. If I go back and grab this one here, which has got death magic, this is a very, very powerful unit, by the way. I can then put my resources back up again, and I've then got a death. I've got a death dragon, a Dracolic, which does come in. I don't have to take the death scales. I can still keep my my growth scales wherever I want that to be. I can get that one up to only +1. I can't get it beyond that one. But if that's all I want, that's fine as well. So these, again, I've got so many points left over. These can come in and fight right from the very, very start. Now these, if you're going to do that, you probably do want to have these blessable so that you can actually bless them, which means that you may have to look and see, okay, well, if I bring the Dracolic in, what do I want it to be able to do in the combat? Because it's going to be probably on its own for a bit. But it's very, very powerful. Extremely powerful. This also shape changes into a Master Lich, so this is like an undead sorcerer, but it's a very, very powerful unit. And so they're all your basically your beasts, your great beasts. Backing through this other side, different things like the Serpent of Heavenly Fires, the Son of Fenrir, which there's so many choices, but we'll pick one that we think will actually sort of work in well with what we want. And of course, you can really go into great depth thinking, what would I like to forge, for example? What item would I love to get for my army? And one that I do always like to try to get, actually, which I think is a great one as a new player. Oh, sorry, I'll just finish this one off. The Dominions 1 guys, these are sort of like just your standard humanoids. And so if we went for the Archdruid, for example, these are humans that are going to try to become gods. And so these come in. It costs nothing to boost their magic, so these are not really important for ULM so much. We're going to have heaps and heaps of points in through here, but up the top through there. But so we can get more magic, but do you need it? Probably not really. So I wouldn't advise getting them. They're also very, very weak. 10 hit points. You know, they really don't last long. So so that, oops, hang on, cancel. So they're not a good choice. So I shall just go back to the items. I'll show you that item. If I press the I key, I can then go to the items. And like these are all the items. This is all the one-handed items, the two-handed items, the bows, the shields, the helmets, the armor, the boots, the miscellaneous. And so we'll have a look in here. This is where I'm talking about, and then the barding for horses and things like that. Now, when you see, if I press tab, see how that's highlighting? This one is for ULM, middle-age ULM. This one is actually, this one can be then made for 10 earth gems. Gives me a special barding. This is the black steel barding for the horses. So if we do want to actually go and get like a commander with special barding, this is it. This is the one that we can sort of start to deck out his horse in much, much better ways. So that's essentially the mounted armor. But the one that I do recommend, if we now with all of this is overwhelming. So if we just press N, there's all the nature spells in the miscellaneous, and in the lesser magics we end up with an enormous cauldron of broth. And what this one does, it feeds your army. And because we're going to be walking around with very, very large armies, ultimately playing as ULM, we need to be able to feed them when we go into wastelands and forests and things like this, where the supply may be diminishing. And so having some of these giant cauldrons of broth makes an enormous change to what you can then go and do. So getting one of these, you need a nature mage level 3 to be able to then forge one of these things, or to make one of these. But you do need to also have the nature aspect to it. So you have to find the nature gems or trade for them, and then you can build one of these. And this is worth going for, pretty much no matter what faction you've got, except for a death faction. The death faction don't eat, so that's not really going to be a problem. So this is actually one thing that I do recommend that you keep in mind, because that will save your bacon a fair bit in any of the games of Dominions. And so that's a good nature one. Now we have another thing. If we press the O, it's again question mark. This is all the stuff we can then go and do in this screen. If we go and press O, we then go and get what are called all the boosters. And so we can't specialize them by nature boosters, but we can also go back to that DOM 6 inspector and go back to items back in through here. And we've got the boosters back in this other side. So we've got middle-age ULM. I'll just go here, all item types, construction 9, and just click on boosters. Now that's fire boosters, so that's going to just be fire. We want to go to nature. So if we just keep on going until we get to the nature one, there we go. There's all the nature boosters. And so we've got certain things of what's required to build a booster. Now there's a construction 5 thistle mace in through here that only requires 2 nature. So we can get to the 3 required to build that other item by having a level 2 nature mage who gets to construction 5, and then making a thistle mace for that particular mage, and then that gets us to the level 3. We can get to the Moonvine bracelet at construction 7. What else have we got there? Blood and blood and nature. We can then sort of boost both of those with the armor of Twisting Thorns, also at construction 5. This is such a good resource. At construction 7, though, we get a few other ones as well. Like if we go to 2, we then go to 3 with this one through here. That then takes us into there. If we have 1 astral at construction 7, we can go from 3 to 4. If we have the what else? If we had 3 blood, we could then go and grab that armor, the armor of Twisting Thorns, and get another boost into there to get up to 5. At 5, we could then do 2, get another 2, and get up to 7. So we could actually go there at construction level 7. But then on that one, we'll then take away that's a 2-handed weapon, which then removes the thistle mace. So we still end up with a +1 overall, so 6. So we end up with a nature 6 mage, starting with a nature 2 mage if we did it that way. So we just need, if we were going to do that, we'd need to have someone with 2 nature and 3 blood magic to get started, to head that way. So there's another thing you can sort of do. It's not really for beginners, but it's it's sort of where people start to think after you start sort of playing a bit as to how do I get what I want out of my build. So we don't have to go for nature 3, but we can if we wanted to. So that gets back to the game. What are we going to do here? If we consider that nature is probably something that would be viable, also earth, if we just go and press E and have a look and see if there's anything, it's mainly going to be sort of like weapons and things. This Dwarven Hammer is going to cost me 3 earth magic. So we need to get to 3 earth to be able to build this one. Do we have any mages that can do that one? No, only 2 there. And we have this one here, also only 2, with a what's that? A 5% chance of getting Earth 3. So there's a 5% chance every time we build one of these. So 1 every 20 will come in with extra magic, extra Earth magic, on average, which is not something we should rely on. So how do we get that one to then be able to go and get the? If we go back to the items again, to be able to get that, and I'll just press E again, to be able to get this Dwarven Hammer, which will give us another forge bonus of +2. So if we want to get this one here, we need to have an Earth Mage of 3. So we could start that way, or we can go back and have a look at our boosters again. So again, if we just go to the DOM Inspector, go back and click on this one until we get to the Earth boosters and have a quick look and see. In fact, if we just go down and see, okay, well, if we go to Construction 5, so we're just looking at the low level ones. So Earth boots only require a level 2 mage at Construction 5 to then boost them up 1 level to 3. At 3, we can then go and do that particular build of getting this thing, and then from there we can then start to get even cheaper equipment. So that's certainly something we can do without even getting, we don't need to worry about a god to do that. So we don't have to go for Earth magic to just do the basic sort of things. Anyway, let's just leave it out of there. So it then comes down, we've really got 3 choices. I would steer clear of this bottom layer at this stage if you're beginning. If you're wanting to just go for a full-on attack and just get used to playing the game with big aggressive monsters, then go down to Dominions 2, maybe Dominions 3. These ones here, you probably won't be able to start awake, but these ones here you probably will be able to, and actually have them in the fight right from the word go. But the trouble with this is they're great until, and the until is until they die. And then you basically are stuck without a god for a long period in the game. And so they're great fun. They're great ways to learn the game, but they're not. You don't get into good practice as a new player by doing that. They're extremely powerful, and you can pick and choose your fights. I'm happy to play with one of these and show you what to avoid and what to go for, and how to evaluate that if you want that one. So let me know in the chat if that's something you'd prefer to see. Like I'm thinking, I'm pointing on the Dracolith through here, but we could certainly go with something else that might be just as powerful. Definitely don't want to go with any of these dragons in through here because of the drain that they bring in. We don't have to get the other boosters as such. Yeah, probably wouldn't. There's a very limited choice in here actually that we'd actually go for. This is a Hooded Spirit. This one would be much more difficult to play with. I think that of all of them that we're seeing through there, the one that I'm most interested in is a Dracolic. That gives me a lot to play with. So that's like we'll end up with some numbers. That'll be choice number 1 will be to play with the Dracolic. The other ones I probably would avoid. This one's another bonus as well because it does give me a Master Lich as well. Now I get a cheaper version here for 240 points versus 2. Actually, that's the same. Let's have a look and see what this one brings in. This one doesn't change. Well, I would suggest just going with the Dracolich, which changes into one of them anyway. Particularly if it's cheaper. Some of these will also be cheaper for your faction. Like it's like this one here is cheaper for our faction by 20 points. So so I was going to go for the Trinity option. That would not be confusing at all for new players. Yeah, there is a god that's 3 gods, and yeah, we won't do that one. These gods or these demigods in through here are very powerful, but again, until they die, you're much more likely to have fun with these than you are with these. Particularly in the start of the game, you can expand extremely quickly with one of these on the battlefield. I think what we'll do is we'll ignore all of these, and we'll just go with. Oh wow, we could actually just use this monolith. So I think we'll go with number 1 will be the Dracolich, number 2 will be the monolith, and number 3 will be Irminsul, the great tree. Let's just go that way. So Chickenhook's saying Dracolich is not very good, to be honest. One lucky strike and you end with feeble-minded dumb monster. That's true. But that's the risk you play. That's the risk when you actually go in with these sorts of units. So anyway, I'll let you guys decide, and we can play different. Each one of these we choose will mean a different style of playthrough. One thing we don't get through here is our nature, so we don't get to do that nature build. I don't think there's anything powerful enough, like this one here. 122 hit points. It doesn't have flying. The other one has flying, which is really quite cool. This one's got good fear. It does bring in the nature. It's an inept smith and an inept researcher. This one here is actually fine for research because it changes into a lich. So we got 1, 2, 3 essentially. So 1 is going to be the. So just type in the chat which way you want to go. So so we've got the Dracolich, the monolith, which does give us that little bit of astral that we do getting through there, and then the other one. So just type away, guys. So we've got 1 vote for 3. So McKitten's saying that's much better now because everything got bigger. There's less chance of getting hit in the head. Well, that's true as well. Like this is like to get the head hit here. This is size 9. Size 10. This is as big as they come in the game. And so to get a head hit is extremely low chance. And then it's still got to get through all of the other bits and pieces. So it doesn't have great protection, doesn't have great defense. So it will take damage. So yeah, just be aware of that one. Yeah, so Alex is saying I vote for the Dracolich, so that's number 1. So I need a few more votes, otherwise shall I just do a random roll, because we're not really getting enough votes in here, guys. And it's really like this is a Zerg rush if you use these sorts of things. This is a more standard sort of build up if you're using one of these two. So that's where we'd sort of end up. Even the Great Mother, you can at least go out and site search with that one. Yeah, so she would actually be probably number 4 as well. The Lich says Tenru, so okay, so Monolith with Farcaster, Reinvigoration, max scales, except for Drain and something else is generally better. I'm not trying to min max. All I'm trying to do is do something really simple. So there's another one there for 2. That's okay. We've got a couple there for 2. I'm not interested in trying to get too into what we're doing here, but it's still it's still important to just know that there is stuff you can do. There we go. So it looks like the monolith is going to be the one that actually ends up winning. So this one here is interesting because we end up essentially with a. It's going to cost me 40 points to break into other spell areas, and so with this one here, we can still have our drain. We've still got our production. We can't go lower than 4 Dominion, and that's fine. Like we don't need anything more than that for playing as Ulm. If we were playing one with holy units, we'd need more than that. I think number 2 won. Just go with number 2. This is a good choice because it means that we're going to be able to protect this one fairly well. Now, do we need it awake? In this case, no, we don't, because we're not using it to fight. So we can do other things with this. So we can go back into dormant if we wanted to and get even more points. So we've got 390 points, which means that we can then try to get even more spells in through this other side. Now, finding nature sites is going to be a pain in the bum with this, trying to sort of find them with this particular unit. So we're going to have to be nuanced about this one because this is the only nature mage that we have. It's also the only astral mage that we have. We do actually have already earth magic. So I'm going to probably make more of the scales in through here, but I wouldn't mind getting my nature magic up and then we'll go for that one. So let's just go back to spells again. Start at Thaumaturgy and we'll just press N. And we're looking for, and this is the actual spell we're looking for, it's going to cost me 2 nature gems to cast Haru Specs. And this one opens the bellies of newly slaughtered animals and observes their livers. The state of the livers reveal distant locations of nature power. And so what we do through here is within 3 provinces of our home, we're going to be able to then do a remote search to see if there's any other sources of nature there. And so that's the approach we'll take to actually try to find the nature sites that we need to get the nature gems. So so we're going to be doing anything with a swamp or anything with a forest. They're going to be what we target. So that's one thing we'll actually then end up doing, just to try to pick up those. So getting to level 3 in thaumaturgy is important, but not initially. We saw that, what else was there? There was a few, anyway, I won't worry too much about it, but that's one thing we will be wanting to get. Now, we can't use that, we can't go from 2 to 3. To be able to use this guy effectively, we need to get to 3 straight away. I've still got heaps and heaps of points in through here. Now, we also probably want to get some more astral. I won't worry too much about what we're going to be doing in this other side. We've got heaps of points in here, so we might as well start to max these things out. So we'll go and get 2 there, which is always get more income. We'll go and leave that one where that is. We'll get more growth. So we'll get the growth up so that we're going to get more supplies, less events, and then even the luck. We've still got more points in through here. We can get good luck as well. That means that most things that happen, we're going to be getting gems just from the luck. So the luck itself will feed our nature gems at the start. And so we can just rely on that one. And that's all we need to do in terms of the scale. We've maxed everything else out. We're only getting positives, which is great when you're learning to play as ULM. So we're getting a lot of good things into there. We've still got 102 points, which means I can keep on pushing up the nature. Now, every time I do it, it's going to cost me a bit more. So I can get that one up to 6 nature, and it's only 6 design points left over. And that's with it coming awake in 12 months' time. If I was using the Dracolich, I would actually then need to, I'd be wanting to play with it right from the very, very start, because it's important that we do our initial expansion with that. And so that would be something where I'd be wanting to keep that one awake and would have less points to spend. So actually, Brian Pitts is saying Asphodel is undead free spawn nation with carrying creatures. Do you weigh in your opponents when you decide you're a pretender? Yes and no. Yeah, normally you would, but I'm not going to worry about it, because we'll figure out what to do when we come up against it, which I think is more the way that beginners would do it. If you're going to be playing multiplayer and you know that you're playing against Lucid Tactics, then yes, you absolutely do. You try to figure out as much as you possibly can to be able to then counter whatever he's going to then end up doing. But no, being serious, like in multiplayer, you may want to have a bit more of a look at who you're likely to be coming up against. But often you don't know the specifics. You don't know what they've built in through here. You don't know what they've done in this side. Now, we've got 7 bless points. Now, remember, we've already only got those pre-smiths that we can actually bless. So let's have a look and see what we can do. So we have magic resistance, wouldn't be bad. Resilience. Now, we do actually have bark skin. This is recuperation. This one here, all sacred units will heal battle afflictions over time outside of battle. Recuperation does not work on undead, lifeless, spirit form beings and those who suffer from old age, which should be fine. We don't need the other bits and pieces. This is all we can really do. So recuperation is 5, which leaves me with 1 point left over. So Arcane Command would then allow me then to have the Sacred Commanders would be able to then lead magical creatures, which doesn't really matter. Sacreds being able to have moment survival, not really interested in that one through there. Now, when they're incarnate only, this only applies when they come essentially when the god is on the map, which won't happen for 12 months. Look, let's just, without going overboard with this one, let's just go with recuperation, and we've still got 2 blessed points available, so we can actually go with magic resistance. Let's do that one there. That gets all of our blessed points gone. That's fine. We don't need much because we've only got those few units. So if you do have the blessed points, make sure you spend them. Now the big thing here is to, you can go to question mark, is to save your pretender. So in this case, I'm just going to go Control S, and the big rock will be the name of this particular one. And we just got gone OK. Now, if I go cancel and go Control L, I think I've got the iron tree and the big rock. I've built this one the other day as an example as well. It's using Erminsolve. This one is using the monolith. And so the big rock again. All of this is where everything is focused. Very little to do in here. We popped these in here because we had points just left over, so we just left it in there. Hi Battle Mode, how you going? You're up late. So Igor's saying, thanks for your stream. Dominion 6 is my first Dominion, and your videos help the most out of what I've seen. Thanks for that, Igor. Buckskin and ULM Sacreds are pretty insane. Their protection goes pretty high. There's not very many Sacreds. There's only the Battle Priests. So I think I'll yeah, I can go either way. Yeah, very difficult to damage. Yeah, maybe we'll go that way. If we go that way, we then don't get magic resistance. Oh no, look, I'll keep it again. I don't want to min-max. I'll just go with recuperation. And so this one here will just keep them so that their battle afflictions will be healed better. Okay, so actually, battle mode saying got to be careful with low astral. So with low astral magic powers and pretend because they can be magic dueled. They can, but again, I'm not min-maxing, so I'm not trying to get too great with the levels. So I know that there's a million things you can do in this game, and there's and you do leave yourself open to certain things, but in this case we're only playing against one other player, so we should be fine. In multiplayer, the build probably will have high earth, yeah. So there'll be different ways of playing it, and this is again, I really want to stress, I'm not trying to make this into a great build. I'm not spending the time to go and look for the spells or the weaknesses. Let's just have some fun with it. So this one gets us into a safe pretender. We can get our giant cauldron of broth. So that's one thing we sort of want to aim for. And there'll be many other things you could be aiming for as well with all this nature. So anyway, let's just go with that one. And all of these, the important thing is, all of these scales are as high as they can go in the positive. And so for a new player, that's a really good way to approach it. So let's just go and click on OK. Big rock, that'll do. And all praise the big rock. Now, when you're starting it, as you start in the middle age, you end up with less sites available. In the early age, this is 65, and in the late age, it's 45. Let's just leave it on 55 as the defaults. Let's go with story events are enabled. Score graphs, let's enable them so we can see what's going on. Everything else is okay, and we'll allow renaming. By the way, I have stickied a form where you guys can fill in names for pretenders, or not pretenders, for units. So by all means do that. And what I'll do is I'll name the units that are going to be going out and about. I won't bother naming the units that are going to be stuck back at home. So there will be a difference. Just going to go and click on OK and through here. All right, so I mean the goal here is just to have some fun with it, and if you make a mistake, you'll learn from it, and then you come back, because you've saved your pretender, you can just load it back in, make the changes you want to make, and then go from there. Dividing the world. Okay, it's having trouble finding the spots. There we go. It's always got the same message. So we're in here. Now this is going to be a tiny little map. It's going to be really small because it's only 2-player map. So we're just basically, all we have to do is defeat Asphodel, and that's going to be that. So when we don't actually have our god in through here. We've got Tortilla and we have Fithagerm. Now we're going to change those names. So let's just go back across. I don't know how many people have filled in the generator. I'll just go and rejig this one. Control R. Did that work? I'll just do that again. There we go. So Shadow Tiger and Crunch will be the first two. So I'll just do that every time we come in. So there, just go to the form at the top and fill it in, and then I'll just get the names from there. So Shadow Tiger and Crunch. I can't ban you, unfortunately. But on Twitch, I have ban people if their unit dies, and but we can't do that here in YouTube. YouTube is a safe space, so there we go. So this one is going to be Crunch. Now we'll just try to remember the names as they come through. So anyway, that's our first guys. Now what you want to do through here, a few little things I'd suggest you set up is to go into here, go to your preferences, and I would suggest that you turn on The map move on the commander token, so you can see how far they can move on the map. Show tips when starting a game is a good one as well. And warn on end turn. This one won't enter turn if you've got units that haven't moved yet. And so that way at least you'll sort of get that will sort of then work. Map filters, I'd suggest that you turn on your income box. Just turn that one on. It makes it's not as pretty as the base game. It brings these boxes in, but what it does do is you can very quickly have a quick look before you end your turn to see if you have used up your recruitment points and your resources. The resources don't accrue from turn to turn. If you don't use them, you lose them. So, and we don't want that to happen like with what we're doing. So this is a nice, easy way to just see if you've actually finished your turn properly. So I always try to have a look at that just to see, yep, I'm still using up all my resources, so I'm okay. That's really what we want. So now when we come back in, we can have a quick look. If we if we go up to here and look at the army setup, so we've got what we've got through here is we've got some of these infantry with the battle axes. So some big battle axe guys. These don't have the shields, and so these are great at causing damage. They do more damage, but they do actually have also problems because they're easy to hit, and their protection is not as great as the ones that actually have the shield. So I wouldn't use them too much if you can help it. These guys in through here are size 5, and these are just Pioneers of Ulm. Again, these have only got a protection of 19. These are not our black steel guys. They're still actually okay, and so these I'm happy with. I'm happy to bring these into different other areas. Now the first turn we don't know what's around the place. We've got an area through here which is a swamp. Where we've got Dominion, which is what the border is, we do get to see what the income and the resources from here is. Now this is high resource actually. This one here, this swamp is actually usually it's very low income and hinders movement, but more magical sites. Now this one here with 131 income is actually really, really good. Like that's really good income for a swamp. That's unheard of really. And even back in here, we're getting a hell of a lot of income from Ulm because of all the scales that we have. So our scales are through the ceiling and we're getting lots and lots of resources. So what we want to do is, the first objective is for us to go and get what's called the cap circle, which is all of these that are next to our actual fortification. Now the reason it's important for some factions, not important for others. If you go to the fortification in here, we start with an administration 60. And so this is a citadel. So a high administration value means the castle will be able to gather more resources from the neighbouring provinces and tax the province more efficiently. It would also provide extra supplies for nearby troops, though this supply bonus decreases as troops leave the vicinity of the castle. But the important thing is that the extra resources. So that sucks in the resources. So getting these cap circles, anything with high resources, like this one here, is critically important, but we don't know what's in there just yet. So we're going to err on the side of caution and not go in there. So we're just going to go into here. We're just going to go and press R to go and start recruiting. And without knowing what's in there, these guys here, these sappers, are not really viable for us just yet, and neither are the crossbowmen. So I'm not going to bother with them just yet. I think we'll go with more pikeneers, maybe we don't. Maybe we just go with some more units that have got the big shields. These have got Morning Stars, do 17 points of damage, length of 2, and then we've got these as well, which have just got the hammers, which do 18 points of damage. And so these do both piercing damage and blunt damage with their hammers. So they've got sort of like their hammers with a spike on them. Whereas these guys just do blunt. Actually, they do pierce damage as well because they've got the spikes and the Morningstar. So they're the two different types of units that really we're going to be focusing on. But we've got Black Plate, which costs a lot more. This is 10 gold, but 43 resources. And we've got the Black Plate versions of those, and then we've got the normal infantry versions, which have got less protection for 32. So for 10 more resources, we can then go and get the higher level guys. Now, we can see there we've got 235 resources, 600 gold. We do want to get some more commanders, and we probably want to get some of these basic researchers in, the Master Smiths. Let's go and bring one of those in. So we'll just go and bring one of them in so we can start the actual doing the research. That leaves us with still a heap of resources. Actually, we've still got more commander points. Okay, we must have 3 commander points. If I just go and click on those, yeah, we start with 3, so we can actually bring in more than what we would normally have. Let's do that one because we don't need much for these other guys. We don't need much gold. That means we're going to have 1.5 of these done this next turn. Actually, before we do that, let's go and bring this one in. That's still 2 commanders. Actually, these are only 1. They're all 1. That's all 1 as well. The Black Lord. It's only 1 as well. The Lord Guardian. Yeah, Castle Defense bonus. We don't need that just yet. Yeah, this one's going to bring in, look, it's a lot of gold and also high resources. I think we might bring in, no, I will actually start to bring in another one of those. We'll just go that way. And so now with the other ones that we actually had, I think we'll just bring in the Morningstar troops, and we might as well go with Black Plate and just see how many we can get. So we can only get we can get 5 of those before we sort of run out of resources. If we go and get rid of those again and just go the other way, just go and get the infantry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can get 7 of those. So we can essentially, with 4 resources left over. If I go and start the next one, it'll be ready next turn. For this early expansion, that should be okay. So let's just go and grab that one. We'll just go and bring these in. Now, with this one here, we've got Crunch is going to be our scout. So we need to go and sort of scout where things actually are. Now, we can't cross the rivers, so we can't do that one. We can go here, though, and then go down. So let's just go and get Crunch to go to this side. You can see there we've now used up all of our production, but hardly touched our recruitment points. So ultimately, the more that we can get this all set up, the better that will be. Let's just go to next. Now, this one here, we've got nothing for this one to do, so I'm just going to have become prophet. So he'll become the actual prophet, which means he'll get the blessed strategies as well, which we don't really need. But anyway, let's just go that way. So next, everyone's now moved. There's nothing really much else for us to do, so we'll just end our turn. So Asphodel and Ulm both made their profits. So we now actually have, this one is now like a master priest. We can now we can see what's around us, and we've got different approaches depending on what we've actually got. So in this case, we've got like about 90 consists of vinemen and woodmen's blowpipes. So now the blowpipes won't do much damage. The vinemen may do a bit of damage. So that one will be a little bit tricky. We still don't get to see actually, we do get to see these. We get to see that one. That's weird. We don't have Dominion in there though. Oh, hang on, we've got our scout in there. That's why we can see the resources. Again, good income, poor resources. Good income, good resources. So these will all be the same. Now these are all going to have, like this one's got 60 enemy units, mainly consisting of light cavalries, militias, and heavy cavalries. So we have to prepare what we do against those. This one in through here is mainly going to be militias, knights, and longbowmen. Again, it's going to be a bit tricky. This one will actually have good income. Income is not important to us. The important thing to us is the resources. This one here is, here we go. So we've got mainly light infantries and Abyssian infantries as well. This army appears to be commanded by Lucidor, the adept of Firmagenton. So this is actually going to be some sort of priest will be in charge of that particular one based on what that's sort of telling us. And then again, we saw the Vinemen back up through there. So don't feel you have to rush to take things over, particularly in single player. You will catch up. You're better off to not lose troops than to go out and win one province and then lose your troops. This one, we think there's 30 in there. Let's just go and spend one more turn. Now that we sort of know what we're up against, the longbowmen won't really bother us. The knights won't bother our front line, and the militias won't bother us at all either. This is an interesting fight. As long as it stays around 30 to 40, we should be okay. If we see it bounce up around 50 or 60, like it's only a guess as to what's actually in that farmland, that will be more interesting. We'll see what happens there. So we'll just go across and go to recruit, so R, and so we've got one of those coming next turn. These are we've got a heap of gold. Now we didn't get all that we wanted there. We'll keep on getting more of these, I think. One thing we could do would be to grab heaps of war dogs if we wanted it. I don't think we do. I think because that's just going to add more stuff. So we'll just go that way. We'll just go to negative 12 in through that other side. So this one is, we're getting the Priest-Smith, we're getting the Master-Smith. That should all be fine. Just press exit. And I'll just wait one more turn there. This one will be wanting to do different things. I'll just get it to go out and start patrol the province for a turn. Now this one here is going to come in as a, so this is what we expect, the two earth, one fire. Initially we're just going to go and tell him to go and start researching. So we'll need to get a lot of these. I'm not going to bother naming these guys. So with what we actually have through there, we just now go up to our research, this one here. And we saw there before that we actually needed to go and get, we wanted to get alteration. If we just go back to Earth, was it alteration we wanted? No, it was evocation. We want to get that one. We also want to get construction. So I think we'll just go and get construction up to, say, level 5. So let's just aim for that one. And then we'll go and get thaumaturgy up to level 3. Let's just go with those to start with. That way, by the time the god gets in, we're going to be sort of halfway along in that sort of process. Yeah, that should be fine, I think. And then we'll just go, so Thessamund in through this other side is researching. Just go next, everything's okay there. So everyone's moving except for this unit. Okay, so suddenly Hildegard the heroine appears at the gates of your castle. So now we've got yet another commander coming back in. So we've got another. Oh, hang on, that one's coming with 2 fire. That was the that was just one of those lucky 20%ers that has given us 2 fire. That's actually quite useful. So we'll go and get that one researching. We also have Aribert, which is one of the other priests, the sacred units. So we'll get that one also researching. And then we've got Hildegard who's just come in as well. And so Hildegard is the only child of the late Hochmeister of the Black Order. And this one always tends to come when you've got the events turned on. Her father taught her how to fight and wanted her to join the order, but she was a strong-willed young woman who didn't like the strict hierarchical organisation of the order. She decided to become a freelance warrior, and as such she has become known and respected. During her more adventurous years, Hildegard befriended a black unicorn who still accompanies her. So she does have a special mount. So she's riding a black unicorn. And the black unicorn has got like a special, it's a smart mount. It's got a withering horn. Now the smart mount, I don't know if that's going to help. We'll see what happens there. But anyway, it's an animal, it's got recuperation, and it does actually have the withering horn. Now this is actually a, it causes decay if this one does get an attack in. So we can send her in on this unit, but she's not very strong. So I think we'll just keep her back for now. She does have a big patrol bonus, so we will be wanting to bring her in with other troops. She can move very, very long distance. Okay, so we've got a throne here. Actually, I forgot to look at the thrones, but anyway, that won't really matter. Let's go through the throne and see what's in there. It's time for us to start attacking, so I might use her actually, and we'll start to do things with that. Here we go. Now we're looking at 60. So it went from 30 to 60. Militias, knights, and longbowmen. So we've got a bigger group there than we thought. This one is sort of moving around a little bit. What's this one doing? About 50 to 60 as well. And that one's up to 80 now. So it just flicks around. It doesn't really know what's going on. This one's probably going to be closer to 50 ultimately. Let's just go to T and then just go and grab this one. We can have 3 stacks, so we'll just go and bring that one back in. And actually, that's different again. I've got these. I'll just combine the black armor. So this is just infantry from Ulm. I'll just go back and have a look. And then these guys here are the black plate infantry. These are actually, I should have checked that before I did that one. So we've got 3 different groups, and they've got 36 units. But these are going to be stronger than most other things we fight. These can take on the cavalry. And then the others can take on everything else. Hildegard can come along for the ride. And then she can go after the commanders. We may lose her. We'll see what happens. So let's go and do the attack. We'll start here, because this is going to be an interesting sort of fight. So we'll just go and grab both of those, move them in. Now, when we come into this particular fight, if I press Y, I'm just isolating it to the ones that are actually coming into the fight itself. So we know that we want these guys. What's their map move? Their combat speed is only 9, so that's how far they move. These ones here are 7, they're even slower. And these ones here are 9 as well. They're 6, that's even slower again because of the heavy armor. So these are the same combat speed as these. What I think we'll do is we'll set up this one to go out first to tackle, because the cavalry will be coming towards us. So we'll set this one up. So we've got this one, because we've got over like 100 command points back in through here with Shadow Tiger, leadership 100. We can control up to 3 squads. It allows us to put them into line formation. So we'll definitely go and do that. So line formation, and then just right click. Now we're going to place them at the front, and their battle orders are to attack the enemy cavalry. So that's what they're going to do. They're just going to aim for the cavalry. We can grab all of them and just grab the ones that we want, by the way, so we can sort of marquee select, which is really cool. We haven't been able to do that before. Now what we have is we've got Shadow Tiger. I'm going to move Shadow Tiger back in behind. We've then got the black plate order, so we're just going to move that one across, another line formation. It's just going to move that group into there. And I could grab some and give some to Hildegard as well, but I don't think I'll bother. Let's just move up to here, make that into a line formation as well. And so these are going to be a little bit behind the pikemen. So let's just stagger them a little bit. And so these are going to go forward. This one here, I'm just going to leave that one in there. And battle orders, I'm just going to have him cast spells, so that one really won't matter that much. Just go OK. And then Hildegard, I'll bring her in as well. And what I'm going to do with her, actually what I might do is I might actually send her off to the side to come flying down the flank. And so I'm going to have her hold one turn and then attack rearmost enemies. So she's going to be on her own, which is going to be very, very risky. Might even just do an extra hold another turn. So hold 2 turns. So that'll be the end of the battle that she then comes in. So so that's where we end up going. So Brian Pitt's saying, can you set up a shield line and then put a line of pikes behind them to reach over? No, it's actually just for whoever's in the front line. So the pikemen will have to take the charge of what's actually happening. These guys here, I'm just going to have them. I'm not even going to give them orders. I'm just going to let them just do their own thing. Yep, that should all be good. So this one will stay here for two whole turns. And look, just experiment with stuff. So we want this to go and hit wherever the cavalry are going to be coming. We want them to intercept the cavalry. That's really important that they do that, because these guys, actually I can't show that one in here, but these guys here have got a length 5 pike, and that's really effective against cavalry. And we'll see that in detail. I'll just show you this combat. It should be an interesting little combat. Now everyone's now moved. We haven't done what we had to do in through here, so we'll just go back into recruitment. And we'll set up, I should have just gone more infantry. We're getting more and more, which is good. Now what should we do? We probably need another commander. Yes, we get less and less when we do that. Let's just go and grab more of those. So again, our gold is fine. It's just our resources. We've got heaps of recruitment points. We just don't have the resources. Now, one thing to look at here is we've got 265 resources. I'm just going to jot that number down because this will be interesting to see what actually does happen here. So 265. We'll remember that one through there. And this one over through here has got, we don't know just yet. We'll find it next turn if we can take the province. So we'll do a deep dive, because this is an interesting fight. There's going to be a lot of different things happening in this fight. So we have research is now construction is now complete, and we have the battle in Irene. So let's have a look and see what actually happened in here. Now when you start a battle, just pause, go and open up this and turn on the team coloured squares, the show grid and the combat round. And I would suggest that you probably either put in the standard or the detailed battle log and then change to number 4, the detailed, when you're wanting to. But we'll just go with, say, the detailed battle log, and that way we can sort of see what actually happens. So this is ULM in through here. So she's going to wait 2 turns. Now, when we start in combat round 0, but we actually start halfway through combat round 0. Now, during the combat round, these guys are only going to be able to move for 1 combat round about to here. On the other side, though, we do have a lot of horses. Actually, there's a lot here. We've got different commanders, but so we've got a knight commander in through this other side. That's going to be interesting, because unfortunately, she ultimately is going to come charging down towards these, which is going to be difficult for her. We've got these knights in through here. What have we got? 2, 4, 6, 8 knights together. Plus we actually have some back in through here, which may be working as the, this is the Frederick the Priest. So Frederick the Priest will probably be in charge, and these will be looking after him. We don't have very many longbowmen, and so we can sort of have a look to see what they do. They do a longbow which does 14 damage if it does get a hit. But we'll sort of do a deep dive on these. These ones are very, very good with very long range, but their accuracy, their precision is actually fairly low. So that's actually not going to help them all that much. Now what we want to be doing is, ultimately we really want to be soaking up the damage of this knight charge, and they happen to be lined up correctly. So we'll just move across slightly. These other guys will then come in and assist. Now I'm going to play it on slow-mo so you can sort of see what does happen. So the battle's starting in Irene, and we'll just go and press Z. So these are moving slowly. We'll get to combat round 1 and we'll only be halfway through, which is about now. They're already firing at us. Now we can see their longbowmen hit the infantry of Ulm with a ranged attack, the longbow in the head for 0 points of damage, and in the body for 0 points of damage. If we press number 4, we can see explicitly what actually happened there. So with these arrows that were coming through, so we're in combat round number 1 now. So when that actually happened, so they're firing from way back in here. Their accuracy is going to be low, so they're going to be all over the place, but they did happen to hit one of our units. And so the longbowmen hit the infantry. Now what happened through here is they target a square. There's a random chance it's going to end up in like a bit of a bell curve anywhere around it. So it's still likely it's going to be the square that was actually aimed at. More likely than other squares as such, but still it's going to spread a long distance the further away that they actually are. When they're close, like if they're about through here, they won't miss the square. They don't aim at units; they just aim at a square. So there's 1 in 3 chance. Now they went for the hit the infantry of Ulm, which is one of these guys. So one of these did get hit, and so what happened with this one was the damage roll was -3 plus 9. I don't know why it's -3, but anyway, -3 plus 9 versus protection roll of 17 plus 8. So very, very difficult for them to break and do any damage at all against their heavy armour, particularly if they're rolling. I don't know why it's -3. Actually, why would it be -3? Have a look and see. So they're doing, the longbow has got half the wielder's strength is added, so that it's got the damage of 9, but it comes up to 14 because half of their strength is actually added to the longbow. It's a 2-handed weapon range. Yeah, I don't know why. It may be that it's hitting the shield, but I'm not sure if that's the case. The -3 may be because it's a shield hit. I'm not exactly sure how that one does work. And we didn't see where that one actually came in. So anyway, that shouldn't do any real damage to us, ultimately, against these big shielded units. They're much more likely to do damage against these or these, because they don't actually have shields. But against the ones they're aiming for, very, very unlikely that's going to happen. So even though they got hit in the head, it probably was a shield hit and deflection and couldn't get through. So let's just go through. Now these are going to be charging. So what happens here is they've got a lance, it's got a hash, which means that it can only be used once. And it comes in with a charge. So it's got a charge bonus for the first strike. And so the charge bonus depends on the combat speed and size for only size of the flyers. The bonus damage is limited to half the strength of the charging unit. Only mounted units and flyers can get a charge bonus. So they're going to come in. The base damage is 6, but they actually ultimately do 17 plus extra. So if they get to strike us, there's going to be a big, big problem. Let's just go back to number 3 again, so we can sort of see what actually happens in through here. Now, when they hit, we really need them to go up against pike units. The important thing here is that these have only got a length of 3 with their lance, and we have a length of 5 with the pike. So that's the important thing. I'll just play X, which is really slow-mo. So these are still coming in. they've closed in, and when we start, there'll be an animation. I won't worry too much about what we see back over through here. So here we go. The pikeneer is now trying to hit the knight. One of these, I didn't see the pike go down. Oh, there we go. The one's back in through here. Both of these have, well, there's been two have actually hit the knight on the shield and the leg for 0. If I press number 4, we'll see some interesting little rolls in through here, so we can actually figure out what's going on. And so if we have a look at the first roll through here, we had an attack roll of 20 versus a defense roll of 23. And so what happens in through this other side is there's a shield hit because if we go into these knights, they've got a kite shield at size 6. And so when we actually attack, they have like a, in fact, if you go back into this one again, their defense roll, their protection roll, what we were aiming for, the leg. So first hits the knight in the shield and the leg. So it's aiming for the leg in this case, and so the leg is a factor of the body. So if we click on protection, we end up with a body protection of 18, and so we end up with 18 plus the shield of 6, this one through here, which then gives us 24. And so if there's a difference there between if it still gets past the initial defense, but the defense roll is actually, so if you subtract from the defense roll the actual shield protection value, it's a shield hit. And in this case, we do 18 plus 5, that's a random number, versus protection of 32 plus 7. Now the 32 is the 18 that we saw there for protection, so that 18 body protection, plus the 19 essentially from the kite shield. And there may be other little things that apply to that as well, but essentially that 32 ends up being around about that sort of number. That doesn't quite, oh, hang on, then it's coming back in. One of the other things with this one is that these are doing piercing damage, and so this is a piercing damage. The armor of the target is reduced by 15%. So the actual armor is reduced by 15% before that gets applied. It's a bit convoluted, but that's actually the shield protecting the knight. And same in here as well. We missed with the next one. Just go back to number 3 and just keep on having a look. Now see how they come flying in with their charge. So we've got the knight hit the pikeneer in the body for 19 points of damage and killed the target, and another one went in there for 12. And so they just went straight through. That one was repelled. That one was repelled. That one was repelled. This is what we have to do. This first attack. We really want to be having these repelling because of the long pikemen. These guys just didn't quite get to do it. If we press number 4 again and look at the detail and just press the minus key, just go back up until when the knights start to hit. So so what happens is we do a repel. These guys do a repel attack versus a defense value of 21. So they sort of roll their overall defense plus a random number, and we roll our attack amount, which is 10 plus a random number, and so that's what we ended up getting. In this case, we missed the repel because this number was lower than their defense roll, and so that means that we essentially have to keep on fighting. The attack roll was 18 versus 15, so then their 2 hit then got past us, and then the charge increased the damage by another 10. And so the damage roll was 27 plus 13, which is the random number, versus protection of 17 plus 4. We rolled very, very poorly. They rolled very, very well. Off pikeneer equals 19 points of damage, which was the kill. If we just go back through, the destrier's attack with a hoof was repelled by a pikeneer. So in this case, if we have a quick look at the difference, I'll just go and move forward. So the knight attacked and then the horse attacked. But in this case, the repel value was 16 versus defense value of 11. Then the knight hit the pikeneer in the body for 12 points of damage. Again, repel wasn't enough. Attack was more than defense, and then the damage was increased because it was a charge. So the charge of the horses can cause enormous damage. So we have to be very, very careful of that one. Now and so it just continues on through here. So we've lost two units. Just go back and go to the back end of this one. So we're getting, like, the repelling the horses won't be too difficult. You can see we're getting repels, etc. So that actually works fairly well. Now, the other thing that's happening in through here is we should actually have this unit moving off fairly soon, but let's just continue on. So we haven't done all the charges yet, so we'll probably get a few more in, but a lot of these are repelling. We're not doing much damage yet initially, but that will happen as these close the gap. So these are now coming in. Is that a Knight Commander? Yeah, that's a Knight Commander going to be coming in as well against these units. So he'll also get a charge. These ones are very, very weak, so they'll actually struggle against us. Yeah, we just lost another one, and we took a lot of damage there. We're down to 2 hit points. So yeah, 8 points of damage. Got a permanent chest wound. So that was the Knights hitting through there. We still haven't taken off here yet. That's okay. We want to get back to these and see how we go. So these guys have soaked up the damage, which is essentially what we need them to do, because these ones won't get the repel value, and the repel is worth a lot. There, we just lost that one as well. But their charge is now done, and so these guys have now stopped using their lance and now using their broadsword, which will make life a lot easier for us because they don't get the charge bonus. And we just did some damage into here. So this one's the hit points are the same, but the horse would have taken some damage. Back in through that other side. And still hasn't taken off just yet. These will move in very, very closely. Now we'll start to do some damage in through here. Just go slowly. Now these can be inaccurate. They can get friendly fire. Yeah, there's more damage now coming back in. We're taking damage as well, but the damage is nowhere near as strong as it was for the actual initial charge. So these guys did a good job of just soaking up the damage. So this, as I say, is an interesting battle because of the number of knights. The knights make it really quite tricky. These guys are marching in, taking a bit of damage. Yeah, we're taking a bit of damage in through here as well. We are doing damage back. So they're getting some lucky hits. But there we go. And the more of these we can get to the hits in. Now, how are we going with our knight? Still hasn't moved off. There we go. Now it's moving off. Let's just go back and press, make it a little bit faster. So yeah, different attacks going in now. Here's one where the knight has fallen off. This will be the Knight Commander, the Destria. Now its morale is broken, so it's actually now running away. That one there is one of the Knight Commanders, but he's taken a lot of damage. And if we have a look at the Destria, see, that one's diseased. That's interesting that that's the case. So the horse is diseased. And if we can just kill them off with these units, it'll be good. We do a lot of damage here, but we are taking damage as well. Now, how are we going with this one? It's coming all the way to the back. These have now had enough. They're running because of these guys. So we've done enough damage to there. We should now be able to roll these up, and then we'll be charging in. Hopefully they'll run before before she has to fight. Yep, they're now taking damage, more damage. So this was an expensive fight for us, but we should get good income from here. It's like even more gold. Not much resources though, unfortunately, with the farmlands. Let's have a look and see how we're going with this one. She's now come in, so she'll have a light lance, which does have a charge bonus as well. Now, has she done a charge? Let's have a quick look and see what actually happened in through here. If we just go, with her selected like this, we can press V, and so the heroine hit the Destria in the leg with a light lance for 0 points of damage. So the attack roll was fine. The charge was increased by 6, but then the damage roll, the Destria managed to actually defend against the actual attack that came in. Now she's only got to do it once. Then we've got actually the longbowman hit the heroine in the leg with a short sword for 3 points of damage. We couldn't repel it because we have got a longer weapon. I didn't quite get there. The attack roll also was only just managed to get past it, and then the damage versus the protection roll was a bit more as well. And so it was slash damage, so it increases from 2 to 3. And so she's taken a little bit of damage. Let's just continue on. Now we're being attacked by this one. No, that's running. So that's now had enough. The morale is now broken, and the morale will have broken from all of these. So she should now have an easy time of just finishing up and rolling up these particular units. Everyone else is running away. These will all have run as well. Yep, so they're all now going to be running. And so that's, I'll just press S and just do standard move. She'll charge after them and just do more damage as well. So we got the win. It will have cost us a few units. So she's moving faster than the others. Ideally, you don't want to be having them where they're coming straight back in front of you because they can't bypass you. You then have to fight it, but that's okay. She did well there. Okay, that's cool. We'll just go and quit out of this one. So, the battle. How many do we lose? We lost 5 of the pikeneers, and we lost 1 of the infantries of ULM. So that's all we actually lost, which isn't too bad, going up against knights like that. So if we weren't using pikeneers, we would have lost a lot more, like a hell of a lot more. Possibly even lost the actual battle. But that's sort of how to script for that sort of thing. Now in through here, we've only got 6 resources from in here, and 86 income back into this other side as well. So the income is actually low here. This is not that great. Now through here we've got light cavalries, militia, and heavy cavalries. We're not really ready to go off to that one again. So let's just go back and press D to get the province defence up. So this is actually it's a friendly civilization. So organising defence will be cheaper than usual in this province because the native people come along well with ULM. I haven't seen that before. That's new for me. I'll just get a little bit in there. Now, really what we want to do is keep on rolling this on up, but I'm not going to be able to do that one easily. Before we do that, let's just go and press T. One thing that's worth doing is just having a quick look and see what you can do through here. So select all units in the squad, select all crippled units in the squad, diseased. It's good just to see the wounded. So just click on W. None of those are. W, those 2 are. What have they got? This one is crippled. It's going to be very, very slow. And that one is got a chest wound. Press Enter to deselect, and then W. And we've got 1 unit here. He's got a problem with lost an eye. So in that last combat, these have lost a little bit of what they can do. The others don't have any hearts on them, so they're actually all okay. What we'll do is we'll just go and send these back home anyway. The crippled unit may not make it because they don't usually do well. So what I could do is actually just go back in again and just press T. And just go and press C for crippled, so that's a crippled unit, and just go and throw it back into the garrison. It will just sit there basically and be part of the province defence. We'll just do that, and then we'll have to go back. So when we go back to recruitment, yeah, so I've got 2 of these. We're going to need more pikeneers. You can see we can get a lot of these. So we'll grab a bunch of those to sort of flesh out the front ranks. So we'll come back that way. So Chicken Ox saying, Daz, you can just press Tab. What was that one for? Sorry, what was that one for? Is that to get to there? Tab? No? Not sure what you mean with the tab, sorry. If I just go and press T, do you mean does Tab get it? Hang on, what's his... Tab do show afflictions. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So if we go into here and just press Tab. Oh, right. Okay, cool. Ah, good idea. Yeah, that's good. That's even better. We can just do a quick summary. It's like just by holding Tab down, we get to see all these little hearts. That's actually really good. Thanks for that. Thank you, Chickenook. I've got it now. I understand. So that's great. So we can actually, yeah, that's a good way to just very quickly see out of all the groups actually who's got some wounds. Awesome, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good. So we're going back home. Again, we used up all of our production. Now the production here before was 265. We're now up to 284. So we're getting a little bit extra. Now what's happening here is we're getting some from in through this other side. Now we didn't see what it was before we started. But we're getting a little bit extra from this one through here. So we're getting essentially, if we double what that one's got, which means it's 12, because we only ever see half of what we have available. If we build a castle here, we get all the 12 points, resource points available to us. But what happens is if we don't have the castle, it will then have the total resources it has that it can share is 12. And we've got a castle in here with a fortification of 6, an administration of 60, which essentially means that 60% of the 12 will then be brought back in to then be used in here. Now that's we had 265. It must have gone up a little bit because our scales have gone up. So we may have sort of done more with productivity or something else like that, where it's actually gone up itself anyway, but we do get 60% of all the neighbouring provinces, which is why we need all of these. Just go next. Now we have Tancred, our new commander, so we'll go and grab another name. This is one that we will actually be bringing back in, and I might bring this one in as well. So we'll just go in and get our names. So again, if you're wanting to, so Hansel is the next one. So R, Hansel. All right, and exit. And then we've got Tancred as well. So this one will be, again, Alt-Tab and Control-R. I won't use, they were just test names. Okay, Velius but Cheekius. Okay, R. Velius but Cheekius. There we go. So another commander. So we'll bring these in. So what we'll end up doing is we'll end up sort of shuffling some of these commanders around. They won't do anything just yet. We'll just get them sort of just patrolling the province where they've got nothing to do. They're all just doing basic research, so we'll just go back into research and through here. So we've got 4 researchers now. Just go back into recruitment, so R. Yeah, so we've already done this one and we've already set that one up for what we're going to then do. So next, this group is coming into here. We do actually have, this is the Throne of Pestilence, which we actually get to see. This is not a throne that we would probably really be wanting. Like if we have a look and see what the Throne of Pestilence does, we can see that we end up getting, it produces 3 death gems per turn. Dominion gets death +1. That means that our growth would then go down, and so this is not one that we really would be wanting to get. Now this is the bottom of the map, and we want to find out where the other faction actually is. And that's Mushwood. Yeah, Tapanati. Just looking for Asphodel if it sort of shows up anywhere. No calls. So we'll just keep on having a look. It's only a very, very small map that we're playing on, so we don't have very much to check out. Okay, so next, everyone's actually moved. And here we go. So now we have Dominion in through these other different areas. We can see that this is by far the most resources of all the different places with 86. This one's actually still not bad at 45. This one's pretty bad in here at only 18. So I think we'll go after the Vinemen next. So I'll just go back into the T and just go and sort of add these in. So we'll go and throw them into that particular group. And these in here, they can just go back in here as well. And that one as well. So we end up with a bigger group through this other side. That will still work out okay. That'll be fine. And I think even the plan of what we have was going to be fine as well against those. Now, Hildegard. I don't want to lose her. Ooh, actually, can we change the name of that one? Yeah, we can. Okay, let's do that as well. Control R. Rocky Balboa. All right, so there we go. Okay, so that's good. In this case, we've now got the so these are now sort of coming back through. God, do we want to send this one in as well at this stage? We could do it, but there's nothing much for it to do, so I'll just leave it. And also, I'm thinking we leave her behind because she's not going to really do much. So I'll have her patrol as well. She does have a patrol bonus. Not that it's going to matter much. And we'll send these in this way. So back in here. Yep, so they're all set up. Back to recruitment. Just get 2 of the cheaper ones again. going to keep on getting more and more of these just to be able to set in, then go and do things. So if we go in with the army here, we can then send Velius or Rocky back the other way. Okay, so that's all done. Just press N. This one's, oh, here we go. This is actually Asphodel here. So we can see there that Asphodel hasn't really moved anything around. From where we are here, we can actually come back down. So we've only taken one province, but they haven't taken any just yet. We could have a look inside there, but our crunch is only, it's got only sneakiness. Oh, stealth 60 is actually pretty good. Yeah, let's go and have a look, a quick look at the castle. So we'll just sneak in, have a bit of a look and see what we can find. We can find a few other different things by going to the print of the world and just have a look and see what they're called. Yeah, Asphodel worships the pretender god Amelberga, the princess of the dawn, lady of spring and sunlight, mistress of might, queen of animals, the lady knowing the waters. So she looks like she hasn't gone for a death pretender. Princess of the dawn, lady of spring and sunlight. That sounds like heat. Sounds like fire. And earth, maybe. And nature. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Let's go and leave that one where that is. I'd like to see them fight, actually. They're likely to come back this way. They haven't taken that one. I'll move into there, then we'll move across to see if we can catch one of their fights. Now, this one here, the scripting. So we've got all these different vinemen and woodman blowpipes. The woodman's blowpipes won't really worry us. I think we still just leave this as is and have these sort of come through. These take the brunt a little bit at the start. They're a little bit fast. So let's just go back across and maybe just move these back a little bit. So we all start on the same line. Just do it that way. Okay, so there's a battle. Let's say so Chicken saying more like a water, earth, nature, bless. Where's the water? Which one was a description that was more watery? Is that the dawn or something? Battle in Emain. Here we go. So let's have a look at this one. This will be interesting. This will be against sort of magic user type units. So our units are just going in a straight line. They've got these vine men. The vine men are going to be fairly strong, so they've got a lot of hit points. Their attack skill is low. Their defense skill is very low. Their protection is very low. So we're going to smash through them. But they do have 2 fist attacks. So and they're only size 3. They're only man size. And then we've got these blow gunners, which do actually have a special poison attack, paralyzing poison, if it does get through. But it's going to be very, very rare that will actually happen. This one doesn't have any bonuses at all against trying to get through the actual armor that we've got. Now, what have they got down here? Actually, it would have been handy to have her back in the fight, actually, to get Rocky back in here. Yeah, these are slow. But these at least all move at the same distance, the same speed. Yeah, so nothing happening there at all. And we're just smashing through them now. Yeah, look at this, just ripping through these guys. But these are inanimate, so they don't really care about the damage. A little bit of damage coming back our way. And then these should start to run fairly soon. Oh, we've just been webbed. And webbing through there in a bit of friendly fire. So these have had enough. They're now leaving, so their morale is broken with the proceedings. The fatigue is over 100, which means that they're now unconscious. This is that one there. So smash those. We didn't lose much at all in this one. Trying to break through from the web, it's a bit more difficult for us. And then these will wake up at some point and should run. Yep, they're going. If that one wakes up in time, it should also just run. Now, as we pick up this cap circle, we should find that there we go, that's gone. Now, there's a lot of resources in here, in this particular location. So there's battle in their main, that's good. And so now when we have a look at it, we now control this one and this one. And so our resources have now gone up to 413. So we've got a resources of 78, double that one. So you can almost sort of count, that's about 80. Add a bit more onto that one, it's almost 100 more. And so we end up with a lot of resources coming back in this other side. So we've now got heaps of resources, as you know, as many as we can possibly get. And so this is, well, actually, by the time we get these, that'll be the maximum that we can get for this location. And so just go back to Province Defence, and this is a very important area for us. So I'll just get a little bit there. Let's get 10. So Shadow Tiger can now move down into this one, and we can now go and pick up. Just get our recruitment. Just keep on getting more researchers in through here. Got no more command points left. That's okay. It was, yeah, like they're all doing very, very well. Now we were going with the battle axes, I think. The black, it was these guys here with the big battle axes. I'll get some more of them. We've got so many resources now that we can sort of get like a lot of different units. Also, we can get some of these black plates as well. So we'll just go that way. So we'll just go and grab them, and I'll go in with this one. Has got the Abyssian infantries, which won't really matter that much. And you can see we're getting a lot more resources coming back into this particular faction, or this particular region. I'll leave her patrolling. Actually, how many? What's the unrest in here? Unrest of 12. That'll sort itself out pretty quickly. Now I could start to site search. I think I'll do that with this one here. So we'll just go and start to do automatic site searching. So that will go off into one of these two directions. All right. So we'll send in Velius, I think. Then we'll send in Rocky, then the next one to go after this one here. So we'll just go back in and go to T. There's Velius. Okay, and actually what I might do is I might still bring in that other unit as well. So I'll just go back into T and move that one back down. It's on its own. And just go back to Y, just so we've got it sort of set up through here. Because we've got hardly any of them, I'm just going to tell that one to be the guard, the commander, so it'll be like a bodyguard unit. And these as well, I'll just set these ones up to sort of then just be placed in a line formation just off to the side here somewhere. There we go. And the commands here will just be to stay behind troops. Alright, so that gets us a bit more. Just go next. And we've got another one. We'll just go and keep on doing more research. So they have expanded a little bit. Let's go this way. And see what else we can... Although we can sort of... Maybe go this way and just see if they do attack this one. I'm not sure where their actual main army is. Now it's saying through here, this province contains about 30 enemy units. The army consists of mainly mannequins and satyr mannequins. A huge carrion behemoth was seen hovering, towering over the army. That'll be the god. I think it will be the god. The local defence of this province appears to be very strong and well organised. There is a bramble fort located here. The bramble fort must be sieged and conquered if we to take full control of the province. So that's the target, is to basically sort of go and destroy that one. Just go and end our turn. Battle of Undras. So we're getting a more sizable army now. Now these are hot. These have got like a heat haze around them. That's going to cause issues down in here. These guys are going to get fatigued from the heat, I think. Yeah, heat cloud layer 1. That will hurt them. Wow, that one didn't last long. Now we're going to take heat points in here. Yeah, we should do okay here. Yeah, we're losing a few units. So this has got fire resistant. They've also got heat around them. Reasonable protection. Yeah, actually, we're taking a lot of damage here. We're now on fire down through this other side. They're running, that's good. That sort of opens this up for us. Just kill one of their commanders. Who's that? There's a warlord there. So we'll have them surrounded. In the meantime, we'll get through these. We're losing a lot in here. Yeah, heat fatigue, stuff like this is actually happening. This is going to hurt it. We may have lost one of our commanders. Are they going to run yet? Yeah, they're running as well. So I think everyone's running. So that's the end of them. Just go and quit. We lost a lot there. We lost a lot of the infantries of Ulm. Now we actually lost one of our commanders. So that will be I forget who that one was actually. If you just go back and have a look at the view the battle again. We'll look at it from the perspective of the commander that's not the spellcaster. So that one there is the spellcaster. It's this one here. So this is Velius. Yeah, so he comes across, excuse me, to fight with these guys. So we certainly lost a lot against these guys. These were quite strong against us with their flails and the heat. So Velius is now in the front line. There he is, Velius Butchikius. Now, he's only got fatigue damage at this stage. So if we just go back and press V, affected by heat cloud. Yep, so we get heat fatigue. So they're fatiguing out, which does make them easier to hit. Now I'm going to have to get going after this battle, I think. So this will at least sort of get us with another area. Yeah, so he doesn't last long in there. I think he's just gone there and actually. So anyway, let's go and quit out of that one. Your famous hero. This is Shadow Tiger. Exit. And so that's actually, that at least gets us sort of started with Ulm. Now what we can do is we can then go and, we've lost a lot there actually, so we probably would end up coming back again and just getting more of them. So you don't control the battle once. No, it's all the scripting is done before you go in. It's a we go system. So you basically have to make sure everything is the way you want it before you go in, and then that's it. There's no save scumming. You just learn that way. So Brian's saying when you stack the squads on top of each other in the setup, how does it sort them out on the battle map? It basically just squeezes them in and out of each other, and then pushes them out of the square if they won't fit. So you can only have 3 in the square, and so it will just make another few of them sort of end up behind the other group. So it's not ideal. You sort of you don't really want to be doing that one too much. Anyway, guys, I do actually have to get going, so we'll leave it here. Thanks for watching. And I'll be back, I'm not sure when I'll be back actually. I've got a little bit to do this week. So I'll catch you around. I'll be certainly on Twitch again. Actually, no, I'll be doing my chat tactic tomorrow here on YouTube at the normal time, which for me is 4 AM. So that's, how far away? 8 hours before now. Anyway, guys, I'm going to catch you. Actually, no, it's more than that. It's 9 hours before now. So I'll be back to do that one tomorrow. A lot of gaming news this week. A hell of a lot. It's going to be a long session tomorrow. I can tell that. Probably go for about 3 hours, I would imagine. This game was an auto battler before it was cool. Yes, it's cool actually. It's good like with that one. Anyway, guys, if you're around tomorrow when I do my chat tactic, I'll catch you then. Covering all sorts of games. There's so much that's coming out this week. It's come out this week, including Dominions, of course, as well. Just incredible games coming out. So I'll catch you then if you're around. Thanks for watching.